Hello, NEET aspirants. So, NEET is coming close. Okay, that's why we have just started our NEET Cash Course 2021. So, you can just check it. Okay, so today we are going to discuss some basic concept of chemistry. So, I can guarantee you that after this video, you will master this chapter and can do any questions from this chapter. So, before starting, please just subscribe our channel to support us, and if you like, so please press the like button and share it with your friends. Okay, so without any further delay, let's start. So let us see first laws of chemical combinations. So here first is laws of conservation of mass. Who proposed this? He was Lavoisier. What did he say? He said during any physical or chemical change, the total mass of the products remain equal to the total mass of the reactants. Now, what does this law say? That if we take 2 kg of a reactant and 3 kg of a reactant, and we don't know that how many uh, products will come, but the total mass of the products will be the same as the total mass of the reactant. That means 2 plus 3 5 kg is the total mass of the reactants, so that will be the total mass of the products also, because that is what is law of conservation of mass. So how many products will come, the total mass of the products will be 5 kg. Okay, so let's see the second law. What does it say? That laws of constant or definite proportion. So who proposed this? That is Joseph Proust. A chemical compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by mass. Now let's see the third. So the third law is law of multiple proportion. Who proposed this? That is our Dalton. He said when two elements combine with each other to form two or more than two compounds, the masses of the elements which combined with fixed mass of the other bear a sample of whole number ratio. Okay, so let's see the fourth law. That is our one of the most popular laws. That is our Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volume. So what does it say? That is in production of ammonia, let us see. That is, if we take 3 amount of our hydrogen and 1 amount of N2, what does it produce? That is produce our 2 amount of NH3. If we take the ratio of hydrogen and nitrogen, that is 3:1. Okay, so that will always come how much volume we can take, but the ratio will be constant. That is our 3:1. So that is our Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volume. Now let's see Avogadro's law. That it is also a very popular what you can say law or hypothesis. Before it was hypothesis, now it is proved as law. So what does it say? That it says the equal volume of all gases under the same temperature and pressure contains equal number of molecules. Okay, so what does that mean? That is let us assume that there is hydrogen and also nitrogen. Okay, but 3 ml of hydrogen and also 3 ml of nitrogen is taken. So now if 3 ml of hydrogen and 3 ml of nitrogen is taken, so we may think that okay, hydrogen and nitrogen are two different gases, so they may have different number of molecules in them. But no, at the same temperature and pressure, that means at the same environmental condition, okay, if we take equal volume, that is a 3 ml of hydrogen and nitrogen, okay, they will contain the same number of molecules. Okay, so we also know the number of molecules. So what is that? Let's 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Okay, so it is also called our Avogadro's number. Okay, so our atomic mass. So atomic mass is the mass of one atom of a molecule. Okay, so it is measured in Dalton. So the unit will be our Dalton. So here we can see the table is given, that is 1H1, 2He4, 3Li7, 4Be9, 5B11, C6, 12, 7 in 14, 8, 16, 9F19. So you will see this up to 20 is given because that is in your syllabus. Okay. Atomic masses you have to remember, and also the atomic number, because it will be very useful in the later chapters of your chemistry and also in this chapter. Okay, so next is a relative atomic mass. So what is relative atomic mass? That is mass of compound by 1 by 12 into mass of the C12 atom. Okay, so it is measured in the unit AMU. So what is AMU? That is atomic mass unit. Atomic mass unit. Okay. So 1 AMU equal to 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 24 gram. As you can see it, 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 24 gram. Next is our average atomic mass. So it is the sum of the atomic masses or isotopes multiplied by its fractional abundance. So in this question, we will see an example also, learn how to conclude the average atomic mass. That is what it is. What is the average atomic mass of Cl if 17Cl35 is 75% and 17Cl37 is 25% in the abundance? So as we have said in the definition of the average atomic mass, okay, so we will just multiply it with its abundance or percentage given here. Okay, we are writing is 0.75 because 75 by 100 is 0.75. That's how we writing it. Okay, so if we calculate it, it will come our 35.5 AMU. Okay, this molecular formula and empirical formula. So what is molecular formula? Molecular formula, it gives the actual number of atoms present in a compound. Okay, an empirical formula. Empirical formula is the simplest whole number ratio of atoms present in a compound. Now, what is the difference? Main difference, that is, we know the formula of glucose, that is C6H12O6, right? So this is our molecular formula because it gives us the actual number of atoms present in a compound, right? But if we just simplify it, so what will it give? That is CH2O, because 6, if we make a ratio of it, so 6 into 6, 6 by 6, 1, 12 by 6, 2, 6 by 6, 1. So CH2O. So this is our empirical formula, okay? Because it comes in the simple whole number ratio. That is the main difference. Also, there is a formula, that is molecular formula equal to N into empirical formula. What is this N? You can say that N is that C6H12O6. Let us see it again. So we are dividing it with 6, right? So 6 is N hour. Okay. So N is the number, that is, if we divide it with the molecular formula, it comes in a simple whole number ratio and gives us the empirical formula. That's why we have written it N into empirical formula equal to our molecular formula. Okay. Now, after we discussed molecular formula equal to N into empirical formula, now there is a rule for calculating the molecular formula and empirical formula. This element is carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen will be given, and percentage composition of them will also be given. That is, let us assume it A, B, and C respectively, and atomic weight of the element. So that will be 12, 16, and 1. Okay. Now, how do we calculate it? First, we have to know the relative atomic number of them. So for that, what we have to do, we will divide it A by 12, B by 16, C by 1. When we divide A by 12, B by 16 and C by 1, some value will come, and among these three, after this divide, which has the smallest value, we will divide the rest of the two with that. Okay, so that's how a simple whole number ratio will come, right? So let us assume that will be D, E and F. So what will be the empirical formula then? That is CD, OE, HF. Okay. Now we know its molecular mass because of the CO and H, right? So we can easily just conclude the N, that is molecular mass by empirical mass. Okay, so that will give our N, and if we multiply it with our empirical formula, so what will it give? It will give us the molecular formula. Okay, so that's how we conclude the molecular formula. So let us see the next topic, that is mole. So it is a very important thing, because not only in this chapter, in the next chapters, upcoming chapters, you will see there is always this concept that we will use it, that is our mole concept. So what is it? It is the SI unit to calculate the amount of substance, okay, or it is the number of entities present in the in a 12 gram of C12 isotope. Then 1 mole equal to 1.99 into 10 to the power minus 23 gram per atom. That is also given. Now let us see the formulas from which we can deduct mole of a compound or atom. So let us see that. That is formula mole. If we calculate it in the respect of weight, okay, so it gives us weight of the compound by molecular mass of the compound. Okay, so let us see the next, that is the mole number of given molecules by 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. So what is that? We know that is our Avogadro's number. So we can also write it by Na, but I have written the number for your understanding. Okay, so this is with respect to number of molecules, and last is with respect to number of volume. Okay, so volume given in liter by 22.4 liter. So this is with respect to weight, this is with respect to number of molecules, and this is with respect to our volume. Okay, so now there is a question, that is find out the number of electrons, protons and neutrons present in 50 gram of CO32 minus, so and 100 gram of NH4 plus. So first, what we have to know, that is without this 2 minus, how many electrons are present in this CO3. Okay, so that will be our proton number, and if we just plus it with 2, because 2 is added because of minus 2, so that will be the number of electrons. So let us just see that. So 6, because of 6 electrons in the carbon, O has 8 into 3, so that means 30. So it is number of protons. So what will be the number of electrons? That is 30 plus 2, 32. Same with the proton number, that is also will be 30. Now to find out the total number of electrons in this 50 gram CO3, we have to first conclude its mole. So that will be what we just seen the formula, that is weight, that is given 50 gram, that is our molecular weight. So what is the molecular weight for this CO3 2 minus, that is our 60. Okay, so it will come 5 by 6. So if we just multiply with our Na, that is our Avogadro's number, it gives us the atom. Okay, the number of atoms. So we just concluded the number of atoms. So this 5 by 6 Na into 30, it will be a number of protons as well as number of neutrons. Okay, so you are seeing what we are doing, that is we are just multiplying the number of atoms, that is 5 by 6 into Na, with this number of protons, that will give us the total number of protons and also neutrons. Now as the same thing we will do for the electrons, that is 5 by 6 into Na into 32, that will be our number of electrons, total number of electrons. So the same thing we can do for here also, that is if we just conclude the mole first, that is our 100 weight is given, that is our 18. Okay, so 100 by 18, so we can calculate it 5.25. so now this 5.2 into Na, number of protons will be 11. Okay, if we just see it from here, that is our number of protons and neutrons. So it will be the number of electrons, that will be one less because plus one is given. So 5.25 into Na into 10, that will be our number of electrons. Okay, so that is done. Now there is a special formula, that is PV equal to nRT. Now I am just writing this formula here. You can also see it in the chapter states of matter. So we will just elaborately discuss it there. Next is our vapor density, that is equal to molecular mass by 2. So in a NEET questions, they may not give you the molecular mass directly. They can give you the vapor density and ask you what will be the mole with a given amount of weight. So you just multiply the vapor density with 2 and it gives us our molecular mass, and then you can just divide by molecular weight, that will give us our mole. Okay, so next is equivalent weight. Now this equivalent weight is very important in this chapter. Okay, so let us see how we conclude the equivalent weight. So first is our equivalent weight of the acid. So that is the molecular weight of the acid by the number of H plus ion in the solution. Okay, that means if we take H2SO4, okay, so in H2SO4 we will just write its molecular weight and give in the solution, that is our 2 maximum, so that will be molecular weight by 2. Okay, so that's how we conclude the molecular weight of a acid. Next is our equivalent weight of a base. Now equivalent weight of a base, that is the molecular weight of the base by number of OH minus in the ion. That means if we take BaOH whole twice, so what will be its equivalent weight, that is molecular weight by again 2, because it gives maximum 2 OH in the solution. Okay, so next is our equivalent weight of the salt. So equivalent weight of the salt is molecular weight of the salt by either total number of plus B or minus B ions. Now equivalent weight of any element, so that is our molecular weight by valency. Okay, so if we want to conclude the equivalent weight of O2, how will we do that? The atomic mass is what, 16, that will be divided by valency, so it will come out 8. Okay, there is different methods if the molecular weight is not given. Okay, or if it is a compound, so how will we deduct the equivalent weight? That is, if it forms a hydride, so we can just see the mass of the metal. If a metal is forming a hydride, so we will write the mass of the metal by equivalent weight of the metal. Now in the questions, the equivalent weight of the metal will not be given. Okay, you have to just conclude, that will be your answer. So but all the other things you will know, that is the mass of the metal, mass of the H2 displaced, because the hydride's number of the hydrogen in the hydrates will be the mass of the H2 displaced, and we know the equivalent weight of H2, that is 1. So that's how we deduct the equivalent weight of the metal. Okay. So oxide method, that is if a metal forms a oxide. Now how will that oxide from that oxide, how will you deduct the equivalent weight of the metal? That is the, we know the mass of the metal. Okay. So now we also know the mass of the oxygen in that hydride. Okay. Not from other oxygen. That how many oxygen atom is present in that oxide, that will be the mass of the oxygen, and by the equivalent weight of the oxygen, that is our 8. Okay. So if we just put the values, we will get the equivalent weight of the metal. Next is our chloride shift method, that is mass of the metal. So by equivalent weight of the metal equal to mass of the Cl2 by equivalent weight of the Cl2. So it is also same like the hydrogen and oxide method. So the equivalent weight of the Cl2 is 35.5, and all the and equivalent weight of the metal will not be given, but other things will be given. Okay. So that, let us see what is limiting reagent. To understand limiting reagent, we have to see an example so we can understand it evaluately. Let us see what is the question is given, that is 50 kg of N2 and 10 kg of H are needed to produce ammonia. Now calculate the moles of the NH3 formed and also its which will be the limiting reagent. So to calculate limiting reagent, we have to first write the equation, balanced equation, that is our N2 plus 3H2 equal to our 2NH3. Now we will calculate its molecular masses, that is N2 is 28 and it's 3 into 2, that is our 6 in 34, right? So what will be the value if 1 gram of hydrogen is taken? It is also taken in gram and gram. So 1 gram hydrogen, it comes 18 by 6, 28 by 6. So we are 4.6. So now let us write the mass given in the question, that is 50 kg of N2 and our 10 kg of H2. Now for 1 gram, what will be it? It will be 50 into 10 to the power 3 by 10 into 10 to the power 3. So it will come 5. That means the value we have concluded for its molecular mass is less than the mass given in the question, right? So if this situation comes, then we take the atom or compound which for which the value came is our limiting reagent. Now what if this value come more than this the mass given in the question? Then it will be our excess reagent, and uh, except this excess reagent, the rest of the reactant will be our limiting reagent. Okay. But here it came less than the mass given in the question, so it our limiting reagent. Okay. So we'll conclude anything from this reaction from this, because it is our limiting reagent. 6 gram gives us 2 moles of NH3, right? So 1 gram gives 2 by 6 mole. So how many will be given by 10 kg? That will be 2 into 10,000 by 6. So it will come our 3.3 into 10 to the power 3 mole. Okay. So that is how we conclude limiting reagent.